Welcome to this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast on this 1st of July 2019 as we discuss the world of sports and pop culture, this free agency edition of the Ril Dil Podcast. I'm joined by still a Knicks fan. He's still here. He took a lot.
All right, still here.
It took a lot for him to make this journey, but I give him credit. He made it. He made it. He's here. Chad Quinn joins the program.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here as always. Like I said, Knicks, we still standing. We still standing, man.
We might
So
as well begin.
we like to we just multiply.
We might as well begin with the Knicks because while we wait, I want to ask you this because you were very consistent in regards to even before the injury to Durant. You said I don't want Durant here because of his mentality handling New York. I don't want Durant here, and especially after the injury, it just that doubled down on no. I don't want him here. We couldn't handle him, even with dealing with coming back from Achilles. So you were very consistent with that from that stance. Do you think that Durant,
Uh-huh.
because there are reports come out that Durant was not willing to come to New York by himself. That if it wasn't going to be a package deal with he and Kyrie Irving, that he was going to make that he was going to go to Brooklyn. Do you think that's true? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously it came out. Obviously,
I do.
even before,
I
especially
I
after
think
injury,
it's different,
do
man.
you feel like that even before the injury that he had that mentality?
I do. I do. But I do think the injury was kind of like a butterfly effect. This is how I look at the whole situation. I think initially the move was always Kyrie and Durant, first and foremost. Let's put that out there. They wanted to play together in New York. And I think the move was the Knicks. But I think once Durant got injured, Kyrie, like, I ain't going to the Knicks by myself. He wanted to go to a team that he could hold it down. You know what I'm saying? In New York, he's from Jersey, so either way, it's fine. And until Durant recovers and he can come out there and help out or whatever. But the whole Dolan didn't offer Durant the max, that's smoke and mirrors. At the end of the day, regardless of all the reports we're reading, or Googling, or whatever you're doing, just look at the narrative. And I would want anybody to answer me this. When has anything in Durant shown that he's a standalone man? And I'm not knocking him, but I'm just going off his resume. There's nothing about him that says, you know what? I don't care who on the squad. I'm going to go out there and play. That's just not in his DNA. I think I like the move because it was still bold, but, and when I say bold meaning to leave Golden State, but it still was the safe pick. It still was the safe pick. It's like, okay, I'm still going over here to a team that's already in the playoffs and has a good nucleus, and I'm going with Kyrie. So I think, like, even when we spoke and we saw the whole picture of him in Oakley, the writing was already on the wall. You know what I'm saying? His medical doctor, one of the doctors that was working with him, is on the New Jersey staff. So, like, it was going to be Brooklyn. I think it was going to be Brooklyn after the injury. I do believe that, in theory, I do believe there's part of Durant that was considering the Knicks with the teammate. I don't know how true the whole if Kawhi was going to work with him thing is, but I do think that just like LeBron, like Durant, this move, unfortunately, he's always going to look like LeBron's little brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the moves he does is very similar to LeBron, something LeBron's already done. So, like, even the strategy that LeBron has been notorious for, just like, hey, man, I want to come play with you. It seemed like Durant was really trying to ask around the league who would be willing to play with him. And the thing is, the injury messed all of that up because everybody's like, we're not trying to wait on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't wait a year not knowing how you're going to come back. So That's how it's always been. And to your point about me being consistent, I don't think it's like New York is not New York. Like Brooklyn and the Knicks are two different teams, and it's two different expectations. So even the media doesn't presence is not the same for the Brooklyn Nets. It just isn't.
Right.
It just isn't. It's not the same type of heat. We all have to understand that. So it's like this is the safer route, and it's the mentally healthier route, given his personality. He was snippy in Golden State. He was snippy in OKC with the media. You know how small that market is? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was already before the whole injury, like, nah, I just didn't like it. I don't like him or Kyrie's temperament. And the fact that they would have that pressure to win immediately. New York is so desperate, it's unappealing. You know what I mean? It's like meeting a girl and like she want to get married tomorrow. Like, whoa, that's too much pressure. Like, you come to New York, people want you to be the savior. And it's like, wow, I just want to play ball and we want to see. No one want to hear all that. They want someone to say, I'm going to get y'all a championship. That's what New York, the Knicks, are looking for. So it was always a pipe dream for me. I think that in theory, and we can get to the details later, but like in theory, we could have did a lot better with damage control. Like it's Mills, it's all of them. They were selling their fans on, oh no, trust me, we got something big waiting for y'all. If they had never did that, they could have been tempered expectations. But they got rid of Kristoff and said, we get 2 max. And then at the last week, they changed their whole story all of a sudden. So that's where I think the backlash is really coming from. This is nothing new. I was telling another friend of ours. How many times, we can go back to LeBron and the years after that, like, and the first time we was going to get Durant, like, this is nothing new with Knicks talking big about whoever and it not happening. And this won't be the last time. Greek Freak is coming out 2021. Best believe you're going to hear the Knicks have space. Just what it happened. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing new under the sun, which makes it easier for me to deal with. But, yeah, all that to say, no, if I was a betting man, nothing in me would have said Durant was ever, seriously, injury or not injury, going to come to play in New York in Madison Square Garden with that squad as it's presently made over for the trades and all of that. Free agency. Not at all.
I think that if Kyrie, because I don't think Kyrie ever wanted to come. Kyrie never want to come to the Knicks, and I think if Kyrie would have been willing to come to the Knicks and Durant doesn't get injured, that it would have been a possibility. The Knicks did not.
Oh yeah, if Kyrie, yeah.
The Knicks didn't want Kyrie, even with Durant, from reports to come out. And again, that max salary, we know that's a bunch of nonsense. Even reports came out today that I heard Chris Broussard saying that was nonsense. That was a bunch of garbage. That they were not going to give him the max. It's just not true. But
Right.
I do believe the Knicks from the standpoint of saying we're not taking an injured Kevin Durant and Kyrie and allowing Kyrie to run our franchise for a year. I do believe that, based off what Kyrie did with Boston last year, with even a more less talented squad than this year with the Knicks. Like that Boston team is much better than what this year's Knicks team would have been with an injured Durant. So I do believe that.
Right.
And
and to that point, I would say not just what he did, is how he did it. He was toxic, but really impressionable on a lot of young players. That's all we have. You know what I mean? So there's nothing in, we Jersey boys, there's nothing in me that wanted Kyrie once I started to see this happen. And I said, if we're going to stick to the blueprint, the funny thing about the backlash is, once again, I told you, it's our own fault for selling the Knicks on a pipe dream. But if you get over what they sold you, what have Knicks fans been complaining about for years? We need to stop trying to go for the home runs. We need to just build up the culture, get some, good pieces, and it's not going to be quick. This is what we've been saying for years. So in theory, if they had never talked about this in free agency, if they were very transparent about the plans. Now, the plans is we're not going to waste money. We're going to fill out this roster with some veterans, some good, flexible, cap-friendly deals, and build up from that way and focus on talent development. If they had been saying that, it's one of those situations where no one ever wants to hear that to any franchise, but it's easier to digest when you give it to people over time. You know, if you had been given that conversation back in February, March, we would have been talking about all this. It'd have been like, oh, okay, Kyrie, Durant, yeah, maybe he might be in Brooklyn, and ain't going to be with the Knicks. We already know our plan. You know what I'm saying? So, as I was telling you earlier, and everyone laughs at me, but I said, you look at the Toronto Raptors team. You know what I mean? You look at Golden State even, and I think a lot of times the narrative gets lost with Golden State because of the Kevin Durant effect. But everybody else was drafted.
Right.
That team was drafted. You know what I'm saying? Like, people forget that. That team was, like, built, right? And Toronto, a lot of those were trades, too, but they only had one superstar on that team with a really quality team around him. So I said, okay, in theory, I'm not mad at a lot of the pieces that I saw over the last 24, 48 hours.
I think the problem,
Now,
no, the
it's
pieces,
laughable.
yeah, people are laughing.
Yeah, go ahead.
People are laughing at the pieces. I don't have any problem with any of the moves that they made over the last 26, 24 hours because, first of all, they're small contracts, short contracts. The guys are actually pretty good players. So there's nobody that you,
Yep.
there's no Eddie Curry, there's no getting dude past his prime,
Yeah.
no past Isaiah Thomas. There's no Isaiah Thomas moves on here. Okay, these moves are
No
like
filter.
low
Nope.
risk,
Yep.
medium reward moves, tradable assets. If you want to in a year or two, you could trade
Yep.
Julius Randle in a year or two. You know what I'm saying? You could trade some of these pieces with who have an expiring contract, who are on 2 year deals, say next year. So I don't think that I think that people you can and we have a thread that people have been laughing at the moves. The moves are not laughable. The move was I think the part that people getting on the Knicks on and rightfully so is what is transpiring in Brooklyn. The fact that you had a franchise in
Yeah.
Brooklyn that was a laughing stock coming off that Celtic trade. People were laughing. They're like, "This is the worst trade maybe in NBA history." Up there, trading for Paul Pierce, the
Mm-hmm.
old Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. So that happens. That happens in 2013. They get to the playoffs 2014, 2015. Then they decide after that, you know what? We're not going anywhere. We're going to bottom out. They bottom out for 3 years, and now 3 years later, they were a playoff team this year, and now they have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. That is the
Yeah.
embarrassment to the Knicks and should be an embarrassment to the Knick organization. The fact that this team bottomed out and did what you have not been able to do in generations, in basically in 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
in 3 years. To be honest with you,
Yeah. I, I'll add to that, and that's a great point. I think the other reason people are laughing is because the memes and everything, the comparison is Kyrie and Durant, and then they look at the roster we ended up getting. Now, the thing is, it's laughable, but that roster was never realistic anyway. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, and I said this on our thread, the reason that it's embarrassing, and the word embarrassment is not even the right word. It's humbling, but it's necessary. The biggest issue with New York, as I told you before, the New York Knicks, that is ego and privilege, right? As terrible as the Knicks are, as much as the laughing stock as we've been, the ticket prices go up every year, right? People come in town, celebrities come in town. It's still a big thing to go to the Garden to be seen. We'll still get a Christmas game. It don't matter what our roster looks like. Like, all of these things, no, I'm just telling you, this is real, though. All of these things have only added the privilege. So we've always looked at, when they was in New Jersey first, then in Brooklyn, and even when I was talking to another peer of ours who's a diehard Knicks fan, and even his arrogance, it's like they're still the baby brother. And maybe that's true. But if you play sports, there's one time where that baby brother might beat you finally. And they've demanded respect after getting punked for years. You know, I was talking to a friend and I said, for anybody who's a video game player, it's the equivalent of NBA Live and 2K, NBA 2K. People forget, NBA Live was all we played growing up, after Checker Bowl and all that. That was like the first live action video game with the full rosters and all of that. Then 2K came on the scene. It was like, what in the world? This cartoonish, laughing stock, we didn't even take it seriously. Because we diehard live players. And even when 2K finally started to get better, it was like, nah, I'm a live man. You know what I mean? We stayed with the brand. And then live stopped updating things. And it started, you know, the graphics wasn't as strong. And it just kind of rested on its laurels, like we live. And then 2K kept building and putting in the game, you know, the plan and getting the tech and having a, you know, really crappy IT team and putting all these little things and doing all these focus groups. And now all people do is play 2K. And it's like, I hope this Knicks situation is a cautionary tale for someone like the Lakers. Now, y'all lucked into LeBron, and that's a great situation. But, and y'all, we in two different places. But it's like, for you guys right now to be in a situation where Kawhi can either be in the Clippers jersey or the Lakers jersey. We both know 10 years ago, 5 years ago maybe even, we'll say 10, this wouldn't even be a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Wouldn't even be a conversation. Because the Lakers and Knicks have a lot of the same arrogance. Y'all is more warranted, right? But
Still
bottom line is we both have that arrogance when we look at, we both are very arrogant when we look at the little brother. You know, in your mind, and most people's mind in L.A., it's always going to be a Lakers town. And that's what my man said. It's always going to be a Knicks town. And I'm like, I don't know. I won't say that no more. Like, at this point, we got to earn our keep. You know what I'm saying? Like, I respect the Nets and what they've done and the teams they put on the floor. And I said, once again, people have to understand we on the outside. We getting reports. We on the internet. Them cats are really playing the game. They were laughing. The players are laughing at the Knicks during the season. I said, do you understand? You can play your game and go home and turn on Sports Center as a player and see Enes Kanter talking back and forth with the crowd because the crowd is cheering for him to get in and the coach ain't put him in and the coach ain't saying why he not putting him in. They're seeing a circus. They're seeing this actual circus happen. You know that, right? Like, players talk just like coaches talk. Just like GMs talks. Players are watching everything. When LeBron saw Phil Jackson and he talking about his crew or whatever he called them, you know what I'm saying? These things stick. When they saw how they did Melo, people are watching all of these things happen. And then I told Arnold this, our friend is, and I'm not a big fan of Fizdale. You know this. I said, one thing I don't know about the Knicks is I don't even know what their identity is. It's not just about losing, it's how you lose it. We lose every type of way. I don't know how many rotations we had last season. So if I'm a player, besides the media scrutiny, besides the expectations, I'm looking like, do they even know what they're doing over there?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
that's why it is like a time to like look in the mirror. The Knicks have to really this is the moment, and this is the last thing I'll say about this right now, because I was listening to a lot of people like, dang, they really getting on y'all. And I was getting frustrated with people saying that because they always get on us.
No,
but I realized this is this is the first time, for real, this is the first time that it's not funny for people. They actually feel bad. I think this is like being in the house of the Knicks. It's like having a friend that has a drinking problem, and you laugh like, yo, he's always drunk. And then you go to his house and you see bottles everywhere. He's like, yo, no, he got a problem. Like, this Durant situation exposed us like, wow, we knew it was bad, but now we see who the Knicks really are. You know what I'm saying? But we knew it. We knew our own demons. But now the world is seeing it. Like, dang, that organization is really, really a circus. You know what I mean? So, you know, the goal now is lower expectations. And not only do I like the pieces, I think that the pieces are intentional, meaning we got some shooters, we got some defenders, we got some rebounders. You know what I mean? Like, We got high character guys. Like, they were really strategic, not just about the contracts, but about the makeup. Because the Knicks, the New York market doesn't wait for anybody. And that's, once again, bringing it full circle, why Durant could come. Durant, he would not have had the liberty that he had in Golden State to come on the court and shoot around. Because they'd be like, oh, you ready? You good to go? Because like you standing there. So are you still trying to play this shit? It would have been so many questions. He couldn't be on the court. Do you know this whole summer I ain't hearing nothing about Knox? I read an article today that said Knox better get it together. He's only 19. We're not even talking about him anymore. But this is what happens. Like, New York don't wait for nobody. God forbid Knox start off, struggling as a sophomore, because it's Barrett time now. Barrett better bring it.
I want to get back to Durant, because Durant had some article came out in the Athletic, Marcus Thompson, basically explaining why Kevin Durant left. I think years from now that Durant's going to look back, when he's late 30s, early 40s, and really from a basketball standpoint, look back and think that this is probably one of the worst decisions that he's ever made. Leaving that culture, leaving all those championships on the table, and leaving Steph Curry for Kyrie Irving. Well, this is big, but I'll just give you the gist of it. Basically, to paraphrase some of the details, that it was apparent that he and Curry were not close. And I mean not close, mean not buddy. He felt like a loner in Golden State. There wasn't that bond that was there originally when they first started with the Hampton Five. Those guys started going in their separate directions. Draymond Green becoming a father, Curry having, I think, 2 children during the time that Durant was there. I think when Durant first got there, it was just Riley.
Yeah.
So again, it doesn't make sense to me, because I just don't understand the idea that you wanted to feel like you were. It was like you were searching for acceptance, but it does make sense, because I think with Durant, I don't think he will ever be happy, because he's chasing happiness, and I don't think in life you could chase happiness. So now the narrative comes out. The narrative out that Kyrie, that's my dude. I knew DeAndre Jordan, back in the day. These are my guys. We're buddies. So now that's this narrative starting out, until Kyrie takes 40 shots and DeAndre Jordan misses a defensive rotation. But he will not find he will never find a better basketball situation than when he left. It's not humanly possible.
But that's the thing. That's where you're right and wrong at the same time. Me and you spoke about this before, and when he left OKC, and it took us a year or two to reflect. I said, "Yo, people sold this whole narrative that he don't like playing with Russell Westbrook on the court. Durant doesn't mind another alpha when he wasn't stepping up. The issue is bigger than the gameplay. We're not friends like that. Durant wanted friends. He loved what he saw in Golden State. The way, not just how they shared the ball, but they was having fun. They acted silly together. He liked doing all the dances. Think about it. All-Star game, who the only one not dancing? Westbrook and Derrick Rose.
Right.
LeBron trying to get everybody else to act silly. They not with it. Get out my face. That type of energy made Durant uncomfortable. He wanted the good old boys team. So it's basketball secondary. I feel like as long as Kyrie and DeAndre Jordan are getting along, then he's fine. But you're right, he's always searching for something. I think the NBA needs, not only do they need more mental health check-ins, but listen, we both work in education. I'm not trying to be deep here, but there's some real daddy issues in this league. You know what I'm saying? Money don't mask that. There's a lot of identity issues. We talked about it the other day. Jimmy Butler needs a hug. You know what I mean? Durant, I read the report, part of the article was talking about he didn't feel appreciated or he felt second fiddle. Do you know that you went to the NBA's best team in history. Like, they did everything they could do to make you feel comfortable. And what it is, those insecurities in Durant, that ain't nothing that somebody on the outside can fix. I mean, it was actually disgusting to watch the playoffs and hear Golden State Warriors fumbling over trying to make, oh, well, yeah, we won tonight, but no. We definitely need Durant back. Like, they made sure they always brought up Durant in every conversation to make sure that he knows, hey, we need you, man. I know we won like 3 in a row. We killing teams right now. We know what sports minutes saying, but we need you, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, basketball was secondary, man. I do think that, like you said, from a basketball standpoint, a chance to win those championships, I think he's thinking in his mind the best way to feed this insecurity is to get the approval of the world. And what he doesn't understand in the world we live in,
It's fickle, man. The world changes. People change their mind by the second.
If anything, and I know everybody don't love LeBron, but what I love about LeBron when he went to the Heat, he said, I tried to be like Kobe and be this killer and just wear this black mask and like whatever, but it's not me. Everybody built differently. You got to know who you are. Because Durant, in theory, if somehow they end up winning a chip, depending on how they win, they'd be like, well, he got Kyrie. He couldn't do it with the Knicks. Because that's why I told you how mentally soft Durant is. He could have 99 people calling him the savior of New York, but then there's one person like me who's like, well, he didn't come to the Knicks, though. And that's the only comment he notices.
Yeah.
Is that one not approval.
The one
He's
negative.
looking for approval way too much.
Yeah.
That's all he notices.
The one negative. Before
he got his teammates in front of him. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said he got his teammates in front of him talking about how great he is, and he looking at the reporter who was questioning why he not playing.
Yeah.
That's just how he is.
Yeah.
And that ain't going to change until he owns it. You know what I mean?
Before we get to the landscape of the Eastern Conference, because I thought just the Eastern Conference is going to be, I mean, the entire NBA is going to be just insane. It's like
I thought this is one of the best NBA free agencies I've seen.
It seemed like everybody got better. Like a lot of teams got better. It was a lot of teams that went. I think like Orlando and even New Orleans that went under the radar that got better. Indiana to a lesser extent that got better.
I agree.
We were together Friday, and we were watching the Kawhi thing unfold just basically by the second. And we're like, okay, so Magic. It turns out that Magic did have the conversation with Kawhi. Kawhi's asking Magic basically about the dysfunction and about things of that nature. That conversation has taken place. I thought about it over the weekend, and at the beginning of this whole process, free agency, I was on board. I was just saying, don't even waste our time. Like, don't even make the phone call. Kawhi is zero chance. Kawhi's not coming. He's going to be I bet on the Clippers, but maybe he goes back to Toronto. No one else was even in the mix to me. But the more and more I thought about it, Kawhi, had to do something that hadn't been done since basically Olajuwon, Dirk Nowitzki. He basically almost single-handedly won the championship.
There you go.
So I'm thinking to myself, if I have a chance to go home and I don't have to work as hard physically carrying the load, what better situation than playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis? I'm still in the prime of my career. They're unselfish. They want to win. And I think that's what people were underestimating. Like, he took the playoffs took a physical toll on him. I don't believe in this injury. I think way too much was being made about his leg, because I'm like, he's still crossing people over and dunking on people. I don't. If he was missing shots, it wasn't because of his leg.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
His leg is fine. But I do think that he wants to. Kawhi's a smart guy, and playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis will extend anyone's career who's had any injury history. So I think that is the part that's being lost in terms of people worrying about shots and who gets the credit. Like Kawhi is the anti-Durant. Kawhi doesn't care about what you say, what I say, Twitter.
You
He might
you
not even he might not
asked
even have a
about this
Twitter
whole
or
thing.
Instagram account.
He
Doesn't care
yeah.
at all. He does not
You
care
you
about that.
you nailed it on the head. He is the anti Kevin Durant
Durant, yes.
completely. Like
Mentally, yes.
so, yeah, mentally. So like a couple things to what you said. 'Cause you love perfect, right? Couple things to add. First, he won with the Spurs, right?
Right.
When he was with the Spurs, he was with their initial big three, right? With Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, and then he ended up winning the MVP with the Spurs, right?
Yeah.
And he was the man. But he went through all of that. Then he won on his own with Toronto. Or something like you said with the likes of Olajuwon and Dirk, no one really can say they've done. Kawhi does stuff for Kawhi, right? And let's really get to the nitty gritty here. He has a very great team. Now the narrative was that his uncle's crazy, his uncle's Hollywood, his uncle just wants money during the whole San Antonio stuff, right? But his uncle, his team understands, even when you got GMs fake crying about Kevin Durant, everybody but the players really get that this is a business. Everybody but the players. Like the media, the journalists, they gonna say whatever. They gonna create these stories and narratives. Oh, well, he's not gonna get the same shots, and if he goes there, he don't care about all of that. This is business. I got my New Balance brand. It's going to get more exposure in LA or New York, which is why it was a consideration just temporarily, right? I got all of these other extra endorsements that I can get going this way. My basketball life is extended easily 3 to 4 years. And my basketball probability to win championships goes through the roof. Why put myself in a position for more wear and tear? Toronto, their roster's going to be what it is. We really got by on the skin of our teeth.
Yes.
Because the Sixers should have won that series.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Now, the East is actually even stronger. Best believe Greek Freak coming back with a vengeance. It's all of these other things. So like, he's not about super teams and friends. He just makes sense. That's how Kawhi's
It's practical.
mind works.
It's practical.
When they were losing, he has a beautiful mind because he doesn't. I'm thinking he's doing it to be sarcastic, but that's how his mind works. They were like, "Well, you just lost. What you gonna do? Go to the next game." And everyone's laughing, but he's like, "Nah, I really am. Well, like, we got to play again." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really how his mind works. So his mind is like, how can I win another championship? This looks like a good situation to win a championship. And I'm going home. I like the warm weather. You know what I mean? Like, he's just saying what he likes and then what situation fits that mold. And I don't think what I love about it, to your point about him not being like Durant, there's no outside influences.
No.
What did he do yesterday? I ain't making no decision today.
Yep.
People rushing to make decisions.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a sexy headline.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yep.
I'll let teams for a couple days. This is how you move.
Yeah.
What do you say? Oh, Magic don't work there? Yeah, I want to talk to Magic though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude does what he wants, and it's making everybody so mad. Because this is not the blueprint.
No.
In a sense, he's an anti-Durant, but he has a lot of LeBron in him. Just without the flashiness. Like, the way he and LeBron use their power are totally different, but they both are very powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's really controlling, like, nah, this is what we're going to do. And no one ultimately knows. We feel like it's the Lakers with an outside chance for the Clippers, but he could go back to Toronto. We really don't know. You know, so I respect the man. I think at the end of the day, and he didn't have to earn this for me, but from a fan standpoint, I don't care where he go. He went to Toronto like that as a silent killer where he didn't even ask to go to the team. Y'all sent him out there, shipped him out there. He had no say in the matter and did his thing. Hats off. I want somebody else to go call their job tomorrow and say, "Oh yeah, you're going to Milwaukee for a couple of years. See how that go for you. If you don't have a fit." So nah, he ain't got to do nothing for me. I'm happy for him wherever he go. I just want the league to be competitive. We call it super team. We call it whatever we want to. But I want, in theory, Kevin Durant to come back healthy after this next year and ball out. I want Davis and LeBron. I want to see it all. I want to see it all. You got all this talent out there. So
going through the Eastern Conference,
everybody else,
yeah. Everybody definitely want to see a league, and I think we're going to get that next year. I think we're going to get that next year. I think there's more quality teams coming next year than there has been in years. So
in recent years, yeah, definitely.
Milwaukee, Philadelphia. So Milwaukee decides to move off Brogdon. They re-signed Middleton, Lopez, George Hill, who played well in the playoffs. Probably regret that Bledsoe contract because Bledsoe, that money would have been given to.
Yeah, that hurt him.
That money would have given to Brogdon without question, but still return. The crux of their champion of their team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They had to keep Middleton. Do you have any issue with them choosing Lopez over Brogdon, or that's that? Or
me and you went back and forth with that. I think that Brook Lopez is a little underrated because number one, he's a great rebounder and blocker. We just know him for his threes, but he also has a post game. He just is not using the post, so he's very versatile for a big man that you don't typically see. The pool without Brogdon was very small, but the sample pool, but it was still there, and it was still in the playoffs. In theory, I wish they could have found a team to make a trade with Bledsoe for and let Brogdon go back to being a starting point guard when he won the Rookie of the Year. You know what I'm saying? If there was a way to move Bledsoe's contract, I would have found a way to, now that's not an easy contract to move. So ultimately, do I have a problem with them choosing Lopez over Brogdon? It's kind of one of those situations.
Middleton was automatic. Middleton was a top priority.
Yeah, Middleton was already automatic. I don't have a problem because it's like you still did manage to re-sign George Hill, which I thought, now he was my grandma's, but he played phenomenal. I like Brogdon a lot, and I think he is underrated and a little underappreciated, if you ask me, because he was so consistent. But for what ultimately the question is, what do you need to surround Giannis with? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it really comes down. This is your franchise player. What does he need to be surrounded with? And I think the way Lopez spaces the floor and he's a starter is more important than what Brogdon brought to the team as far as when I think about him and Giannis playing together.
Yeah,
so, it was a tough situation, man. I really wish they kept the whole team, but yeah, they'll be fine.
If Giannis takes that
lead, they still the second best team.
So the next team,
you said what?
The next team I'm about to mention, I figure you think that they're the best team. The Sixers, they trade Jimmy Butler, which I was absolutely, I told, a mutual friend, told a Sixer fan that they should do this. They trade Jimmy Butler. They get Richardson back. They get a couple draft picks, late draft picks, but they get the most important part. They get Josh Richardson, who can shoot the three, defend, 6'5", like 25 years old. There's some reports that said that the Sixers actually offered Jimmy Butler the max, and he turned it down. Don't know, again, that's allegedly, but there are reports that said that. Initially, it came out that they were not willing to give him the max. But who knows? I could see either way with Jimmy. I really could see either. I could see him turning down the max and going and take.
Either way, is a gift in disguise.
Yes. So now
it was a gift in disguise.
Now you look at their team. They have Horford. They signed Horford for $109 million. You have Horford and B at your, up front, and Tobias Harris, who they signed for 5 for $180. That's your front court. Back court, you have Simmons and Richardson. Now, You lost. You lost J.J. Redick.
Ready.
That's a big loss to me.
Yeah.
You lost him.
Yeah.
You still, to me, in a playoff setting, a fourth quarter of a playoff game, don't have a perimeter player that I trust that can get me baskets until Simmons shows me otherwise. So that to me is a big question mark about the Sixers. Who is that perimeter? I can take Embiid away. A great defense, playoff defense can take Embiid away. It can neutralize Embiid. Who is going to get? Who is that guard
Right.
slash swingman that can get me buckets, get to the free throw line in the fourth quarter of a playoff game?
Well, I'll answer like this. A couple things. One, let's go back to Josh Richardson for a second.
Right.
I think, and me, you talked about this. We like Covington for the Sixers more than
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
And Richardson is like a younger version of Covington.
Yeah, he is.
Like, first and foremost. Richardson is a younger version of Covington, right? So we haven't even seen his full potential. But I think what's underrated is what Horford brings to the table. He spaces the floor. He's also insurance when, Embiid decides he ain't going to play today. He can go back to playing center. He, quiet as kept, Horford did a hell of a job digging up Giannis in that Milwaukee series. But when you talk about another perimeter scorer, I think, and we won't know until it happens, the biggest thing that happened with Butler moving is that everybody can play their roles. I do feel like, to a certain degree, and early on Embiid named this, Embiid wasn't Embiid, Simmons wasn't Simmons, and then Harris came and wasn't Harris. Everybody was trying to appease Jimmy Butler. He needs the ball in his hands. He wanted, shoot the last shot. He wants to rotate. He wants to control the offense at times. And, sometimes it works out because he was very strong in the playoffs, so I don't want to knock him. But I do think the person that lost out the most when Jimmy Butler was there is Tobias Harris. Because before Tobias Harris came to the Sixers, if you had told me what you're looking for and we find out he signed with the Sixers, I'd be like, bam, you have it. During his career, that's exactly what he is. This is the first time we didn't see that, is with the Sixers. We like, Dad, what happened to his game? He, disappeared. He didn't get enough touches. And I think that's what I love about their makeup now. Horford doesn't need the ball. Richardson is like a, 3-and-D type of player, so he don't really need the ball in his hands either. Simmons scared to shoot. Isaiah said this 2 years ago. I ain't worried about Simmons' jump shot. All he needs to do is work on his foul shooting. That's all he needs to work on. If he can get to becoming like a 70 to 75% foul shooter, changes his game dynamically. Because most 90% of the league can't get to stay in front of him. If he can just continue to drive, be aggressive, like they always say about Bledsoe, and he's a bigger Bledsoe, be aggressive. If Simmons but he's not even aggressive because he doesn't trust himself on the foul line. My expectation.
He got to take shots though. You can't pass up 10 to 15-foot jumps.
No, he does. No, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't. He has to just shoot. Period. Yeah. Right? He just has to shoot. Going in or not, you're right. If he shoots more and Tobias Harris plays his game, I think those are your answers. Because once again, you say that a smart defense will load up on Embiid. It's not even about a smart defense. It's about a defense that knows ain't nobody else shooting.
Yeah.
Like, they make it hard for Embiid to do them. You know what I'm saying? No one else outside of Reddick was really going to be taking those shots. Richardson would shoot it. Horford could hit a three, 18 to 25 feet. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got some spacers now. It's just Simmons needs to be more aggressive and more assertive. And then Tobias, basically, that's what my message would be for Tobias Harris and Simmons going into this offseason. Be aggressive. You kind of like with D'Antoni, and I hate D'Antoni. If you open, shoot. That's how the Sixers are run. You know what I mean? We kick it into the big man first and foremost. If they not there, take a shot. Drive to the lane. It's like basketball 101 that I felt like was missing. And it made their offense so easy to play defense against. Because we knew what was happening. You know, and Embiid out there one leg and talking about he got the flu or whatever, and they just trying to give him the ball. Or he's not even trying to shoot no more because he's hurt. So I think Tobias Harris is the person that is really, if there was like we talk about the teams that came up and won, I feel like Tobias Harris is one of the biggest winners in free agency. He got that ridiculous contract, and Butler's going.
He won. He's definitely winning.
I think Tobias Harris really won.
They overpaid for Tobias Harris without question. I mean, I wouldn't have gave him 180, but I think he'll be much better without Jimmy Butler and second year in the system, second year in Philadelphia, because that's another tough town to play in. Not like New York, but close. Not that far off. Philly's a tough town. The Pacers.
Oh yeah,
Philly's a tough town. We live there. We know what Philly's about. The Pacers add your man Jeremy Lamb, who I know you wanted from the.
Yes, sir.
So they add Jeremy Lamb. They add him. They add Malcolm Brogdon. They also, of course, are going to get Victor Oladipo. They lose Thaddeus Young. They'll have Miles Turner. They lose Bogdanovich, who went to Utah. We'll talk about the Western Conference coming up. So Indiana has Victor. They have Oladipo, Miles Turner, Brogdon, and Jeremy Lamb, and that's kind of like their nucleus. You gotta like what the Pacers did. I know they lost Bogdanovich and Thaddeus Young, but you getting back an all-star in Oladipo, Brogdon. I love Brogdon's game. Jeremy Lamb, I think, is a good, nice role player. What are your thoughts about the Indiana Pacers season?
I agree. If I was rating it, I would probably only give it a B, just because of what they lost. You know what I mean? Bogdanovich, not only his offensive ability, he carried the offense when Oladipo left, but also his defense is way underrated. So you lose him. Thaddeus Young was a glue guy who did all the intangibles, always in the box scores. So I think he was also really underrated. So that, for me, those two players, you lose a lot of toughness. I felt like part of Miles Turner's maturation had to do with Thaddeus Young and Bogdanovich being who they were. So that's the only reason I brought it down to B. For the reasons you named, that's why I do like the trade. I mean, the pickups. Jeremy Lamb is definitely underrated. I think that he's been really quiet because, first of all, he's playing in Charlotte, small market. Then, for the longest, he's behind Batum. And then they finally started using, but then they had too many 2-3 guards over there. 2s and 3s playing in the same position. He can shoot. He can defend. He can rebound. He's a very versatile player. You know what I'm saying? And Brogdon, I think, once again, going back to the Rookie of the Year, I love what he will do for Oladipo's game, most importantly. Oladipo's coming off an injury, but prior to the injury, he basically was the de facto point guard, too. That's not his position.
Right.
So I think it kind of frees Oladipo up to really be him. Like, that's his team. We saw how clutch he was. It really hurt the whole league when he got hurt because we just were seeing him really become that all-star player. You know what I mean? So I do like the Pacers' moves. I think that they still, and I like Sabonis. I'm looking to see him grow a little bit more.
Sabonis,
but I think, I know, Sabonis is great, but I think the only thing that's missing for me with the Pacers is a little more physical, because this is when didn't they get beat by, Milwaukee beat them?
No, they lost
who was it?
Boston. They got swept by Boston.
They got punked by Boston.
Yeah.
And I know Oladipo wasn't there, but it was such a physical series. Like, they got beat up. The only thing that's missing for me for Indiana is that physical, like, and I'm not talking about superstars. I know he signed somewhere else. I'm talking like Ed Davis. They need those type of players. They need a Bobby Portis. More than likely, I don't know if he's coming back to the Knicks, but they need a Von Lay. They need a few bruisers that can help out with that front court, because as good as Miles Turner was, he still got in foul trouble a lot. And Sabonis gets rebounds, but he's still more of a finesse forward center. So, like, they just need some more. They need some more bigs. I like the guards. I like all of that. But they just need some more bigs, because ultimately it comes down to the Sixers and Milwaukee. That's what it really is. Yeah. Those two teams right now. And we'll see with all the talk about Miami and everything.
Yeah, let me get to
Those two
couple.
teams don't match. Yeah,
Let me get to the Celtics before I even get to Miami because I
yeah.
forgot about Miami real quick. So the Celtics, I think, did as well as they can possibly do considering circumstances. They lose Kyrie, they lose Horford, they lose Baines, they pick up Kemba. They have Hayward coming back. They have Hayward, Tatum, Brown, Smart all coming back, and they pick up Enos Cantor. They just picked up Cantor today. So I think all in all, considering where they started this offseason, after this offseason, I think the Celtics will be a playoff team next year, and I think the Celtics. I can make a
Oh
case.
yeah, definitely.
I
Yeah.
can make a case that Celtics are one move away from possibly being a contender with the right trade next year, something like that. I really like this Celtic team. I just think it's going to be addition by subtraction. I think Brown and Tatum are going to be much better, and I have to think that Hayward, second year coming off the injury, will be better. I love Kemba. I think Kemba's flourish in that system.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's better playing Kyrie, but I think is a better fit as far as attitude, leadership. I like the Celtics a lot. What are your thoughts about the Celtics moving forward?
I couldn't agree with you more. I love Kemba in that system. I think he's gonna put up the same, if not better, numbers than Kyrie. He's not better player than Kyrie, but that's for the system. I think he's also just better for the morale. I think I like the cancer move. I think what hurts is that Horford was the general on defense. Him and Smart. So Smart coming back healthy is big, but Horford is a big loss. When you said they're one player away from a contender, the first person that came to my mind that comes out next year is Draymond Green. You put Draymond Green on the Celtics, that's a championship team. It's a championship team. Just his and I'm a person who's always been hard on Draymond as far as I think he's a system type player.
That would be that would be a perfect fit for
I
them.
think that it would be a perfect situation if Draymond is to leave, where that team could win right away. I think the biggest thing for me with the Celtics, the biggest thing is Brad Stevens needs to meet with this new team, and the first thing he needs to do is apologize. Let's not do this Kyrie scapegoat. Let Kyrie go. Do Kyrie.
Why
I
you say that?
apologize
Why
for
you?
the way I handled the
So,
team last year. Huh?
so he needs to just take it on the chin
Can you hear me?
immediately. Yeah, I can hear you. You say he needs to just immediately take it on the chin.
Yeah, he does. I think because the thing is, when you heard Marcus Smart right after the season. I'm tired of everybody talking about Kyrie. He was angry and frustrated. That's my man. And it's one thing for you to let someone else take the blame off the stuff that you know someone else did. Everybody keep talking about Kyrie. I'm not saying that it wasn't some truth to his toxic nature or his weird personality or rubbing people wrong. That's all possibly true. But there were also just as many reports I heard about a lot of players, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, for instance, having problems with the way Hayward just was giving those starter minutes. And really messed up their progression as young players. Kyrie ain't do nothing with that. So Kyrie's not here. If that's my team, if you the leader, that's what the coach needs to acknowledge first and foremost. Because even if someone's listening, and in theory, if a Celtic, if Tatum or Brown are listening to you, and the first thing you saying, well, Hayward's coming off the injury, so he should be great. Nah, F that. He should earn those minutes. We should go into the offseason, and whoever playing the best, that's who to start. No, those positions, that 2 and that 3, is not given. That's how it should be. There's no way that just because of Hayward's contract, you say you start him next year. What if he's not playing better than Tatum in this? I think their nucleus is in a place where they're about to go the positive route, but it's still too fragile to leave some of that residue. And I feel like that residue will be there without them acknowledging what it was.
I'm looking at
and make it don't
at
happen
their
again.
starting lineup, right? So Kemba's at the 1. I feel like Marcus Smart would be at the 2. Tatum at the 3. Who's at the 4? Cantor probably would be the 5. Jaylen Brown's on a 4.
They're a little undersized.
They are
They're
a
a
little
little
outside.
undersized. They
So I
lost
mean, probably gonna have Hayward at
right?
the 4. They probably have Hayward at the 4, Cantor at the 5. Tatum as a six man. Not Tatum, Jalen
They
Brown.
got some African dude over there.
Oh, sorry, I think I know
They
you
got
talking.
some big old African over there.
I think I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he can
Well,
rebound
he's
and
not.
defend.
Not the
What
one
I'm trying to say
not
is,
Taco Fall.
yeah.
Not the one that. Not the dude out of UCF. Not the project.
No, I ain't talking about the rookie. I'm talking about dudes who's already been there.
Okay, I know you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I hear what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You're saying in theory they both may be able to start. I get it. But what I'm saying is, from a defensive standpoint, I really don't want Hayward at my 4. I don't. You know what I mean? I'd rather have somebody, just a dude to give me 6 and 10. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about more offense on that floor. For most matchups. But if they can in theory, all I'm saying, but this is what I'm saying. Whatever position you decide on, I think that it should be earned. I think outside of Kemba, Smart, and Cantor, those other 2 spots, people are gonna play.
No, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose.
I just think that
He's on the roster, but he's a free agent. They're gonna lose Marcus Morris. They're gonna lose him. Somebody's gonna overpay.
Oh yeah,
he's gone. You're talking about Semi Ojale. He's a small forward. They really have no. They really have no legit size outside of Cantor on that team right now. So they should be in the DeMarcus Cousins sweepstakes. To be honest with you, they really should get DeMarcus now.
They actually were initially. I did hear some rump. Now, man, they get DeMarcus Cousins. I like that a lot. I think the only problem with DeMarcus Cousins is him and Cantor are both defensive liabilities. So it's not like Cantor could play the 4.
No.
I don't know. I do like Cousins, I do, but I just don't know how that fits now that they decided to go with Cantor. But either way, I do like the team.
Overall, we like the team. We like the direction they're going in. We think.
Oh yeah, I do. I love the team. I mean, the team is gonna go, man, and I think that the boys gonna be ready to play.
Yeah,
it's a fresh start. So yeah, they're gonna be in a good position. I do think it's just like you said. It's a few extra pieces. I think they need another big, and I think they need a backup point guard.
Yeah.
Because now they lost Rozier too. They gotta.
He got 3 years of $58 million.
Yeah.
How about these 2 contracts? Rozier gets 3 years, $58 million. Rubio gets 3 years, $51 million.
Listen. There were certain things happening that it didn't look bad till you saw somebody else's deal. I wasn't mad at the Knicks giving Gibson money, Taj Gibson. He got 2 years, $20 million. But then I saw Cantor got 2 years, $10 million. I'm like, well, hold up. Cantor got $5 million a year, and Gibson got 10. You know what I'm saying? So there was a couple of deals that I'm like, some of the players got over on. Rubio and Rozier, they're on 2 different levels, if you ask me. I think I'm so happy the Knicks didn't get Rozier because I did want him, but then I was like, what are you talking about? He's basically Dennis Smith, which you already have. So, I think sometimes that's the whole thing with free agency, why this year was smarter. Normally we see people just doing stuff to do it. That only happened a few times, I feel like, so far in free agency.
Looking at the Western Conference, you had a lot of moves as far as trades and extensions. Let's deal with the 2 teams that met in the second round, Denver and Portland. So Denver basically keeps everybody together. Millsap, they exercise a $30 million option on Millsap. They extend Jamal Murray. He gets 4 for he gets 170, 5 for 170. And basically they're going to run it back. They're going to get Michael Porter Jr., who was the lottery pick last year, who didn't play because of injury. Expecting some things out of him. So basically, Denver is going to run it back with that team. Portland, Lillard, no surprise, gets an extension 4 years, $196 million. They trade Whiteside. They trade for Whiteside. They move Harkless and Leonard for Whiteside. Whiteside is on an expiring contract this year at $27 million. Nurkic, of course, is coming back from that broken leg. They let go Farik Aminu, who goes to Orlando. I like that pickup for Orlando. So Portland still has, their core team for the most part. Lillard, McCollum. They bring in Whiteside. They still have Zach Collins. Um, Now they've lost some pieces. They traded Crab and Evan Turner. They got rid of them. Got rid of Harkless and Leonard. Nurkic eventually will come back. Yeah, they have Nurkic, Whiteside, the guards, Zach Collins. They have the ability to make a move if they want to with some of the pieces that they have. Utah signs, of course, trades for Conley. They'll have, of course, Donovan Mitchell. They pick up Bogdanovich, and their starting line will basically be Conley, Mitchell, Bogdanovich, Ingles, and Gobert. And they picked up Ed Davis, Utah. Which one of those three teams right now, as currently constructed, do you like the most? Portland, Denver, or Utah?
um, I'm definitely going with. This is tough. Take Portland out of it for me.
Why?
Portland, I'm taking out of it
Are you
because.
taking them out of it? Why?
Yeah, I'm taking them out of it because Portland is a little confusing for me. I felt like we got so big on their non-moves last year. Like, okay, they held for it and stayed steady, and now look. And I feel like Collins, I like them young boys, and I feel like Whiteside is a very dangerous player to bring to your organization.
He's playing for a contract. Let's keep that in mind. He's on a contract.
He is, but I told you, I hear all that, but you saying stuff that makes sense. I worry about his common sense. I told you, he really reminds me of the second coming of Bynum. So, like, yes, he is playing for a contract. So, in theory, he needs to be on his P's and Q's. I worry about that. So that's why I'm taking him out of the mix for the top three. Denver is Denver, and they're a scary team. They were just young, and I think that, they ran into a Golden State team. Hold on 1 second.
See, I think Denver.
They ran into.
No, they didn't play. Yeah. Denver didn't play Golden State. Portland lost to Golden State.
No, I didn't mean that. Denver played. Denver played.
They lost Portland in game 7.
No, they did. I'm so sorry. I think Denver. I like Denver more than Portland because I think ultimately Portland's experience won that for them. I like Denver. I like Jokic, what he did, and I like Murray, the confidence he came back with. I just think they're gonna be even bigger and better and more improved. Like I said, I just didn't like the losing Collins and even to a lesser extent Cantor. I like Nurkic and hopefully he comes back healthy, but that's why I put Denver over Portland. Utah
they still have
is
Collins.
the one I love.
Zach Collins. No, Portland still has Collins.
You said what?
Portland still has Collins. They lost. Portland lost Cantor. They traded Harkless and Leonard. They traded Crab and Evan Turner.
Yeah, the majority of those moves I don't care about. I like Leonard. Harkless was an underachiever, so I'm not too big on that. But I told you, it's like Portland is one of those, if it works, it's amazing. But I just worry about Whiteside and his presence. Because if he turns out to be Whiteside and comes in out of shape or demanding the ball or one starter minutes, because he's not a starter, right? Like, he had problems in Miami not starting. So, like, I don't know where his mind is and what the effect it ultimately would have on Portland. So that's why I like all the teams you name, but that team worries me the most, I should say. So for the complete opposite reason is why I love Utah. I think Mike Conley is like the AZ of basketball. He's one of the most underrated point guards ever.
That's a good one, AZ.
You know what I mean? He's solid, great defender, pick and roll, shoot the three. He's a leader. He's great in the locker room. He checks off every box you want. Takes it all with stride. He could have been pissed over there in Memphis with all that the mess that was going on. Took it all on the chin. You know what I'm saying? Now you go back, you bring in the defensive player of the year again. I think Mitchell hit that wall last year because Mitchell, actually, it's a shout out to Dwayne Wade in all those years. Mitchell couldn't even do it for one full season. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was wearing too much. I think that they had the ball in his hand way too often. And I think Conley allows Mitchell to really go back to being just a legitimate two. You know. Then they signed Bogdanovich, who we talked about earlier,
right,
with the Pacers move. And I'm like, wow. That Utah defense and Ingles, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong.
Ingles, yeah.
I feel like Ingles, him and Bogdanovich are almost like twins on the court. They both are very crafty. Typically, we wouldn't look at these foreign players as great defenders. They both great defenders, and they also both play with this chip. It reminds me of like Petrovic back in the day. Not only was he a great shooter, but he wasn't scared of the black players.
No.
You know what I mean? He used to talk down like, I don't care what you are. And that's how they both play. They don't care. They don't care, man. Like, I just love that Utah team. Like, every piece, they don't care.
Nobody's going to talk about
the
pickup, but the Ed Davis pickup, I thought was a great pickup. He's a defender.
Once again, it was a great pickup.
Yeah, I thought that was a great pickup.
They lost Jay Crowder, I think, right?
Yeah, no, Crowder. They lost. They traded Crowder. They traded Korver. What they lost. I could care less about what they lost. Those two, those decent players. But compared to what they brought in, that was not a big deal in terms of what they lost. They traded those two in some draft picks.
No, Utah. To be honest,
they could get to the finals.
Probably.
With no Kawhi on the Lakers, Utah is definitely a team that can get to the finals. At least Western Conference Finals.
Oh yeah. Right now, I would put Utah because the West is so open because we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But if you're looking at, I'll put Utah over Houston.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I would too.
Put Utah over Houston. I put Utah over Golden State coming into this season without Thompson and Durant.
Oh, we gotta get to.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll get to Golden State about what
you do.
I said we gotta get to Golden State about the Russell move.
Oh, actually, no. Let me hesitate on the Golden State. I'm still putting Golden State as Golden State, but they right now temporarily. But I'm putting Utah.
You putting
Golden
State ahead of Utah right now?
I'm gonna tentatively.
Now you're banking on Klay Thompson coming. You're banking on Klay Thompson coming back. Russell doing his thing. Curry, you still got Curry and Draymond.
That is, right now, as presently constructed, I'm banking on Russell allowing Curry to be like Thompson for a little while.
Right.
And play off the ball. And they're the only team out of the other team now, and I also banking, I read a report earlier that they moved Bell, so they're going to be able to keep Looney. Like, they're bringing back a lot of their pieces. So just their system, their coaching, not the coaching, the system, their their time with each other and understanding how each other plays, I still have to put Golden State up there. But it's Golden State, Utah, Denver. Those are my top teams in the West.
I probably would say right now, Denver, Utah. I would say Denver, Utah, Golden State, Lakers fourth. Now I assume without Kawhi, and then after that, you go into that Portland, Houston, those teams like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Lakers in my if there's a top five, Lakers is top 2 or 3, with or without Kawhi. With Kawhi, they're number 1 in the whole league.
Yeah.
But I think, you give me LeBron come back rejuvenated after everybody wrote him off, because everybody wrote LeBron off, which is funny.
As the best player.
Anthony Davis, and I think that we keep acting like Kuzma. That wasn't a big deal that they kept Kuzma. So, Yeah, the Lakers. We'll see what Kawhi does, and we can finish that conversation about the West. But regardless of Kawhi comes or not, top five definitely Utah's in that mix. You
So
know what I'm
the
saying?
D'Angelo Russell
The
trade.
ones that are on outside looking in, the Houston's and Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we didn't mention the Thunder. Yeah, the Thunder going. Yeah, they will be. Yeah, they're going to be. I mean, they're going to be bottom half. They'll be in that 6 to 8 range. The Thunder, Houston, uh, San Antonio might. San Antonio might not make the playoffs. I think this might be. This might be the year where the Spurs might not make the playoffs. Finally, this could be. If there's going to be any year, this
No,
could.
I'm still not gonna count them Spurs.
Yeah, I'm not going to count them out. Yeah, I shouldn't. We shouldn't. Yeah,
They got Murray coming back. They got Murray
they
coming back.
do. They do. They do. Yup. They still have Popovich. They still, yeah, we got burned a lot of times counting San Antonio out. The D'Angelo Russell, the Golden State move. Now, after he got traded, the reports came out today that this is just kind of like a temporary move for Golden State. That people could see them moving him around the trade deadline, or as soon as Klay Thompson, if you know what, if they realize that Klay Thompson is going to be back at a certain point, like early March, late February, the thoughts that they probably would move D'Angelo Russell. He's still only 23, still is a value asset, being that young and being former All Star. I think they could. Like a lot of people saying that it doesn't fit. I disagree with that. That he can't fit in that system. What are your thoughts on D'Angelo Russell going to Golden State?
Yeah, I think that D'Angelo Russell's young, right, and wants to win. I think that I like the fit. I told you when I saw the deal, it was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But in theory, one thing that they've gotten on about D'Angelo Russell is he doesn't drive a lot. He has a pretty decent pick and roll game, pretty crafty with the ball. He reminds me, well, without the driving ability, like a poor man's type of Curry where he can learn off of him. I think that he's a huge upgrade for Quentin Cook.
Yeah,
Quinn Cook.
yeah,
And Quinn Cook played pretty good with, but Quinn Cook played really good at times on the floor with Curry. You know what I mean? Or Thompson. So I think it's a no-brainer when you have a system like Golden State, right? Because you also had certain people saying, ooh, DeMarcus Cousins to the Warriors, it doesn't make sense. How's it going to fit? Like, when you have a system, the players fit into that system. You know what I mean? So I'm really curious. I would love to see it. I don't know if he does get traded. From a fan standpoint, I want to see him play at least a game with that team because Curry's one of the few players that I feel like he can switch to two. Normally we hear about a two-guard switching to the one, right? But Curry could do the best Klay Thompson impersonation. He could be a pick-and-pop player. So I don't see why Russell couldn't be that ball-dominant guard and Curry running around off the screen like Klay. I can see it working. You know?
Yeah, like that. I mean,
I think it's worth at least trying it out.
yeah, no, they're better
Yeah.
off with Russell than they were without having Russell on the team. I'll say that. Like I mean, you're talking about a team with not knowing when Thompson is going to come back. Who's it like outside of Curry? They needed some scoring. Like who's scoring the basketball? Let's assume even Cousins.
Right.
Let's assume Cousins comes back. So you have Cousins. We don't know what he's going to look like next year. You have basically Cousins and Curry as your offensive threats without Russell. Outside, I mean, who else is going to score the basketball? Iguodala's not a scorer like
Right.
that. So I think they had to. I think now, looking at it, it makes sense. Russell and having Curry and Russell will keep their heads more above water until Thompson gets back. And if you think Russell is not a fit, you could always move him at the trade deadline for some pieces. So I think it's just I think
Yep.
just
Totally.
the move to me is a no brainer. I don't even think about somebody was comparing him to Nick Young. I'm like, how much better D'Angelo Russell is than the Nick Young. Oh yeah, that's a dumb comparison. Dumb comparison from
Better than who?
comparing him to Nick Young, like saying Nick, like this was like picking Russell up was like
That
kind of
that
like
that that that's ridiculous.
yeah. So
Nick Young is the equivalent of J.R. Smith. You know
yes,
what I'm saying? Just with a little bit more common sense. A
yeah,
little bit more.
yeah,
Not much.
no, no. So
So people underestimate Russell, what he brings.
yeah, I just like the dude was just like
So
the
like
best
you
player.
said, it's a great. Yeah.
He was the best player on the team that went to the playoffs last year. So I don't know why, like that whole
Yeah.
his prior reputation. I think you gotta put that aside on what happened with the Lakers or what happened his immaturity. He was not last year. He played great. So and he's coming to a great.
And ultimately, it's business. It's business. Like it goes back to what I told you last night. Michael Jordan gets the jackass donkey of the day for not trading Kemba Walker during the season.
Right.
So it's like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, Golden State like we getting something for Durant. We're not just letting him walk. We getting something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they Charlotte gets nothing with Kemba Walker leaving, besides paying $58 million to Rozier. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, that team, Charlotte has so many bad contracts. I mean, between Gilchrist and Batum, and they have so many bad Marvin Williams. I mean, it is remarkable how many bad contracts they have on that roster. I mean, it really is. It's they. I mean,
But I think that's why where we are in the league. I love the parity in the league now, but the few, it's only a few really bad teams, but the really bad teams, oh, they're going to be getting beat by 30, 40 points. Like the really bad teams. You know what I'm saying? There's only a few on each coast. But like the Hornets, you just forget it. The Wizards, you talk about the Knicks being depressed. Like, I don't know what's going on with the Wizards.
well,
Hopefully they get this ball.
Getting to the Wizards, I mean, in terms of the Wizards, we were about to talk about with the Heat. You just have to find somebody that's willing to take that contract, and if you have to sacrifice Bradley Beal if you have to sacrifice Bradley Beal, then so be it. I think that's how bad the situation is. You would think that if you were to trade a guy like Bradley Beal, and I love Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is a legit top 5 two guard in this league. He's an all-star. But normally you would be able to get some draft picks and a good player for Bradley Beal. But no, with this John Wall contract, if Miami's willing to take John Wall off their hands, but you have to give us Bradley Beal, you have to make that deal for the Wizards just to get from under that contract.
Yep.
That is the worst.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: you would know better. You would know better than I. They can't amnesty him. Is that done? They don't do that anymore. What's up?
That don't. Yeah, they can't. That's not. Yeah, they can't do that anymore. Nah. Nope.
Okay.
Nah, that's no.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's like that. That's how bad that deal is. That you would have to get rid of Bradley Beal in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's a horrible contract. I mean, it's a horrible contract. And it's no one's taking that contract without some extreme until it gets to reaches the last year. Until it reaches the last year, then somebody will just take it just for the cap space.
Right.
But it has a good. He has 3 to 4 years left on that contract. Then he has like 4 years left on that contract. So that no one's taking that contract unless they're getting a Bradley Beal in return. So if Miami's willing to take that contract, but you have to give them Bradley Beal, then so be it. So then, yes, you don't have Bradley Beal, but you are out from under that contract, and you can just start fresh, bottom out, get draft picks, get lottery picks, and start over. But I think.
And the thing about it, like going back to the business nature of this, the thing about it, anybody that's been to DC or understands DC, it's not even a basketball town.
No.
So like, if they're as far as fan base that is, like the Wizards don't have a real fan base.
No.
So it's like you have the luxury of tanking to rebuild quietly. Yes. You don't sell tickets anymore.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so the best bet you can do is turn around and get a contender and then get some bandwagon fans or whatever. But like, they don't have the pressure to win right away.
Not at all.
I think the Wizards fans are the DC, natives be more than comfortable saying, okay, we're just gonna rebuild, and start from scratch. because they definitely are in a situation like it's no man's land right now. You know, so it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad to watch. You know, so we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see.
Well, this is the season. If you have never had the league pass, for people out there, this is the season to get the league pass because there are at least, I would say, anywhere from 18 to 20 quality teams out there. I think as of right now, with Kawhi not being on Lakers, it's wide open. Now again, Kawhi goes to the Lakers is not wide open, but there's still a ton of young talent. There's still a number of teams that I want to watch. I mean, we didn't even mention the Pelicans. The Pelicans, David Griffin has done,
Oh yeah.
the moves that he's made, adding the pieces. They get the Pelicans add JJ Redick. They, of course, they draft with the draft picks. They're gonna have a lot of. They're gonna just be a fun team to watch. They still have Ball, Holiday, Ingram. They signed Derek Favors, so they got to add Favors and Redick off the free agency list. So that team could be a sneaky contend. If Zion explodes in the first year, they're gonna contend for an A spot possibly.
Yeah, possibly for an A spot. I mean, like you said, it's open when you get down to that 6 to 8 spot in the West. That's based off experience. I still would put the Spurs over them right now, but I do think they remind me of almost like the Atlanta Hawks. Like, they're going to be, even if they lose, they're going to be really fun to watch and competitive. You know what I'm saying? With New Orleans or whatever. So they do need, I just think they need a couple more veterans, and not, I like the Favors pick and I like the Redick, but they need like one or two more because Zion is still a rookie. So like you said, he could be explosive, but I really am watching just Ball. If Ball can stay healthy and Ingram can play and stay healthy, it's definitely something to watch. Like you said, it could be a sleeper. Definitely could be a sleeper.
Well, another offseason, another free agency period going by. Again, everybody's waiting, including yours truly, of course, yours truly, for what Kawhi does. That would be basically the end of free agency.
Watch the Knicks.
Yeah, watch the Knicks. The Knicks, you have to watch.
Oh.
If the Knicks, listen.
There's the last laugh on everybody.
The Knicks, listen, I can't knock the Knicks moves. I cannot knock. People are gonna make fun of them. I can't knock the moves that they made. I thought the moves. I'm fine with the moves. If you're the Knicks, the thing that you're devastated about is what's going on in Brooklyn. That is what should bother you the most about what transpired in Brooklyn, how quickly they rebuilt that situation and that culture. So if you're the Knicks right now, it's all about the culture. You're trying to change the narrative and rebuild your culture, and the only way to do that is through drafting and development. And ignore the noise. Yep. You just have to ignore. Get off Twitter. Get off Instagram. You just have to ignore what everybody is saying about this free agent, that free agent, and just do it the good old fashioned way of starting from scratch. That's what you have to do if you're the Knicks. I mean, that's what you absolutely have to do. They seem like they're headed in that direction. I like the general manager and the front office more than some other people may like him, may not like him. But again, when they get to a point to where if they do develop into a team that can get to the playoffs, you have that James Dolan factor that, it is what it is. James Dolan is the owner, and can they someday overcome the James Dolan factor? So that is right now he's the scarlet letter of the Knicks. The fact that guy is the owner. Now maybe if they can build this team to be a playoff team in 2 to 3 years, maybe that, maybe free agents just look at that and say, you know what, they got to the playoffs in spite of him. But right now, James Dolan is still he stands between them and respectability. So it is about drafting and development. That's going to wrap it up. We'd like to thanks to.
I mean,
go ahead. Go ahead. Make your point. Go ahead.
No, my point was simply, you just said it. I was thinking about if there was a way that we could plant something racist or something, like a Donald Sterling situation. I got to think about this. But there's a way we could get rid get Dolan out, I think that really, because I think if anything, Dolan has to be not visible to give us a chance. He needs to literally remove himself away from the Knicks organization. Because going back to as soon as I saw that picture of Oakley and Durant, I said, damn, Oakley gets the last laugh.
Yep.
We already knew with that picture, man.
Yep.
We already knew.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Let's go and wrap it up. Like as always, we'd like to thank Chad Quinn for coming on, talking about his Knicks. He took his medicine.
Yes, sir. Yep.
We will be talking soon. Enjoy it. Thanks for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, take care, man.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil Podcast. As always, you can find this podcast on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Blog Talk Radio, in a couple hours. Have a great rest of the week. We have some podcasts coming up this week. I'll see you. You'll see me hear from me in a couple of days. I have a special podcast coming up on Wednesday, and I will see you then. Have a great evening. Ril Dil. This is Ril Dil Podcast. Telling it like it is with no apologies. I'm out.